One of the MA programs we offer in Paris is the MA in Postcolonial Studies, and we run that program partly because University of Kent has itself a long tradition in teaching and researching postcolonial studies. University of Kent was one of the first universities in the United Kingdom to run undergraduate programs in postcolonial studies, and we have a centre for colonial and postcolonial research, which is based in the School of English and American Studies at the University of Kent. So students who register for the Kent at Paris MA benefit from the experience, expertise, and the social life which is built around that research centre in Kent. I believe that much of the work done in the research centre in Kent is based around Anglophone studies. It's based in the School of English and American Studies. The Kent at Paris MA in Postcolonial Studies allows students to make the most of that, but then open their studies out to include a more global perspective on the subject, bringing in texts from Hispanic studies, from Lusophone, that is Portuguese language studies, as well as English language. So the classes here on the Kent campus have that broad perspective, though everything is of course taught in English. Is that correct? Is that fair, Karine, as a summary?
Yes. So in this module, what's interesting is you do get a very wide variety of representations of Paris, and as Peter was saying, we're going to study Latin American writers, North African writers, and Anglophone writers. So you do get all those different visions there. And through those texts, through the framework of diaspora and exile, students are going to analyze different issues: social issues, economical, political, historical issues, and cultural issues. And all the while they're in Paris themselves, experiencing life in Paris, and they get a good feel of those representations, both the myth and reality of Paris, through those different writers.
And postcolonial studies includes African writers, South American writers, North African Francophone writers, but also I believe Australian literature, Irish literature may be valid as part of this program. Has that been your experience, Mohiz, as a postgraduate taking postcolonial studies?
Yeah, very well. Like you said, most of all these regions are actually very relevant in the postcolonial literature of today, because basically, like it says, postcolonial, it's basically the literatures of erstwhile colonies of this erstwhile or former superpowers who once colonized regions as far as Australia, the Caribbean, Africa, and Asia. And of course, the course outlined right from this autumn term to the spring term actually covers all spheres of postcolonial or erstwhile colonies of the former superpowers, right from Australia to the Caribbean, Africa, and then here in the Francophone Maghrebi literatures as well. Last time I did most of African and Asian writers in terms of the postcolonial discourse of the contemporary, and part of why I am interested in the Kent at Paris option program was because of the Maghrebi angle of the postcolonial literature, which basically I know I'll have a cyclical and a comprehensive study of that coming to France here, which is actually the country that colonized the Maghrebi. And I think I've been having a very beautiful start to it thanks to Madame Karine here. And
do you study theoretical writers like Frantz Fanon and Edward Said? Do you get the opportunity to...
Very well, that's actually the foundation of postcolonial literature of the contemporary. Because Edward Said with his Orientalism has been a phenomenon just in the past 10-20 decades, and basically in the autumn term we have a particular module which is postcolonial theory and discourse. So with that we dealt with, even before Edward Said and Frantz Fanon, we had to do with Senghor, we had to do with several others, Jean-Paul Sartre's, of even before Edward Said, even before Frantz Fanon, and then we did some of Najibullah as well, that's having to do with Afghanistan and post-colonial issues of the Americans and the Russians. So we actually have post-colonial theory and discourse as a module on its own to introduce us to those theories and philosophies of the contemporary post-colonial discourse.
So that gives you a theoretical foundation
exactly
for dealing with specific texts.
Exactly.
Okay.